recollections of my younger days. I started high school in September 1920. After the 8th grades at the Jewett Heights School, District Number 7, which is now the Jewett Firehouse. My friends and I attended high school in Windham, which was about 5.5 miles from my home in Jewett. In those days, we did not have school bus service from Jewett. Our parents drove us to and from school in their private cars. When snow came, you put your car in the barn, jacked it up, and left it until spring. Also, drained the radiator. We found home in Windham where we could board during the school week. Our parents got us home one way or another for the weekend. Monday morning, I would walk across the fields west of our house to the road down Jewett Mountain to the Windham Road, Route 23. Then to the home near the corner where Aunt Grace Steele lived. I would stay with her until the horse-drawn bus bringing school kids from Ashland to Windham and driven by Leslie Holdridge, my good friend. This was in 1920 and 22. All this was before snowplows on the roads. During 1923 and 24, the system remained the same, except that my neighbor, Howard Godley, and I started driving horses to school every school day when winter came. We each had horses that were good roaders, and we used wagons or sleighs according to the road conditions. My sleigh, or cutter, as we called it, is now at Hideaway Farm, Sealandsgrove. It took us about an hour in the morning and the same in the afternoon to make the trip from Windham to our homes. There was a hotel in the village of Windham near the school with a large stable for horses where we could put our horses during the school day. We carried our lunch and fed our horses at noontime. Howard would drive his horse to school one day, and I would drive mine the next. I drove Dolly, my horse. Some other kids did the same from other towns in the area. On Fridays, we usually each drove separately so that we could bring other kids home with us to Jewett for the weekend. As I said before, the roads were never plowed, and one winter we had sleighing for a long time. The milk from our farms was picked up every day by a team of horses from Windham, and that winter the milk team made more than 100 consecutive trips with sleighs. Howard and I would have made the same number if we had driven 7 days a week instead of 5. I recall one Friday when I was bringing home to Jewett one of our neighbors with me. The snow was very deep, 4 feet or more on the level. The tracks where the sleighs and horses traveled were hard packed, but the sides were soft and deep. We that day had left Route 23 and started up the Jewett Mountain Road. We had crossed the bridge over the Batavia Creek when I looked up ahead up the Jewett Mountain and saw a big team of horses and a double sleigh coming down the mountain toward us. The sleigh was loaded with bags of feed, and I knew that the driver and team Our road was only one track wide, and I knew that neither he nor I could pass with the deep, soft snow on either side of the road. So my passenger and I took our horse off the sleigh and turned it all around and went back. The cutter was lightweight, and we went back to the bridge, which was bare of snow, and waited there for the team and load to pass us. Then we hitched up Dolly to the cutter and went on up the mountain to Jewett. At that time, the school kids from Ashland in the Model T bus, school bus, and sometimes there would be a small snowdrift across the road on Route 23 that would make the bus go slowly through the road, through the snow. My horse Dolly loved to pass another vehicle on the road, and if she could run past the bus, she was happy, and she would do it if she could, and sometimes did. She loved to pass another team on the road and was happy to race them. She hated to get hit with snowballs. The boys in the village liked to throw them at us as we passed through, and those snowballs would make Dolly run so fast as she could go and make the sleigh bells, which we always wore, really ring out. We had fun. That's as far as I've gone so far.
August 28th, 1991.
The year was January 1920 or 1921, I don't remember which, that our neighbor Orville Bailey and I were boarding in Windham and going to school. He and I went over the top of Cave Mountain from the Windham side, which is on the north, to the south side, which is our homes in Jewett. After school in the late afternoon, and we climbed the mountain about where the ski slopes are nowadays. The darkness came on before we got to the top on the north side, but we used a small compass which we had with us and descended to on the south side to our homes. Our parents were very much surprised to see us because they hadn't expected us, and we were supposed to have stayed in Windham that night. My mother opened her house to summer boarders. We called them to summer guests. We called them boarders in those days. One summer in the 1930s, a couple by the name of Campbell stayed with us. They were a middle-aged couple. While there, Mrs. Campbell was taken sick with pneumonia. A local doctor was called in to see her. In those days, doctors made house calls to care for the sick. Dr. Alfred Persons came to treat Mrs. Campbell. He suggested that we call Miss Olive Crum, a registered nurse from Tannersville, to care for Mrs. Campbell. He spoke highly of Miss Crum as a nurse. In those days, nurses gave 24-hour nursing care. Mrs. Miss Crum. During this time, Oz and Buell met and became friends. They kept company 4 years and were married on October 20th, 1937, in Tannensville, New York, Miss Crum's hometown. The wedding trip was across Pennsylvania to the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, going as far south as the Natural Bridge.
You went to the Natural Chimney Street.
Yeah, that's right. We did quite a bit of sightseeing on the way. They returned home after a week or 10 days and started their lives together. Richard Dean was born August 16,